Hi, this short video is to talk about your process paper. Your process paper is due October 8th. Now the process paper relates to your final project, the final project for this course. You've already started working on that, right? We set it into individual little pieces or parts. So we have your Explore project where you identified a topic that relates to our course, Bread and Circuses, the City and the Arts and Entertainment. You identified a topic that helps somehow relate to the identity of the city that supports the venue you chose. Maybe it's the Intrust Bank Arena. The event you chose, maybe it's the Winfield Bluegrass Festival that happens every year. Whatever it is you chose was something that helps you to identify the city that supports that. So you've chosen that. You've also in that process identified 3 of the course goals for this class that you think might be addressed by your venue or your topic or your event. The other thing you've done is you've looked at that assignment on Follow the Money. So you've looked to see what kind of money the local community puts into your event. Now it might be a city sponsored, but it might not just be city. There might be private dollars involved. There might also be state or federal monies involved. That's okay. We're looking at events that are part of a community and supported by tax dollars, mostly by that community, but if you find other revenues being used, that's all right. So those are the first 2 things you've already done. The third part of this is your process paper, and this is the writing part, the analysis part. So in this paper, you're going to pull together the work you've already done. Feel free to reuse it. Perhaps you should revise it at this point, make it more into an actual paper. You're going to identify once more the topic you've chosen and how it relates to the city that supports it, how it relates to the community. How can you use your project to help identify certain things that are important to that community that are representative of those people who support it. You're going to remind us how it's funded, of course. So you've done all that. But in your process paper, identify your topic, remind us how it's funded. The next thing we're going to ask you to do is, what's the inspiration? Why did you choose this topic? Why did you use this venue, this sculpture? Why choose this? What's your inspiration for that? Some of you talked about that in class with your presentation on your out and about, and that's fantastic. If you can use that same inspiration to talk about why this is an important venue, please do. Please do. For some of you, that inspiration was very personal. For some of you, it was an affinity or a connection to a particular sport. Whatever it may be, add that in. What are your 3 goals? Again, you've identified 3 of the goals from the course that help you to talk about your venue, to help you talk about your event that you're looking at. Now it's time to start offering some analysis. How does your topic, how does your venue help to address the 3 goals you identified? As you move along and you start working on your analysis here, you might think, ooh, I think I'd rather change goals. I think I want to move to a different one of these goals. I don't like this one anymore. That's perfectly fine. Change your goals. As you're moving along, some of you, and I hope not too late in the game, might even change venues. That's all part of the research process. That's all part of putting together the ideas from this course into your final project. That's okay. So if you feel like you're kind of stuck with something and you really wish you'd chosen something else, please feel free. You might do a little more work at this point, but just get her done. So how does your project address these goals? Offering some analysis here, right? And it's not so much, and you really need to give some specific examples. I'm hoping, well actually I'm requiring, that you also think about in your analysis how you might be able to compare your venue and those goals to some of the things you've already read, some of the things you've already written and done. So if you find that your paper on Shakespeare, if you find that your paper on the City of London and how it influenced that art form is helpful in understanding how the city of Wichita influences what goes on at Old Cowtown, fantastic, go for it. If you like how the city of Wichita influences what acts show up at Intrust, go for it. Give us some information there. So again, just as London influenced the way Shakespeare wrote and the way his plays were performed, so too, how does your city perhaps influence the event you're talking about. What other readings can you use? Can you use the gladiator events? Can you use Antigone and how the theater helps to shape political identity in what your project is? Can you please think about using work we haven't yet finished? We're going to look at Horrocks on the idea of city space. Hopefully you're going to get after that reading this week. We're looking at Matheson and Bade on how the economic aspects of the Superdome in New Orleans and how that plays into the local economy. So maybe those readings that you've yet to do that are on their way can somehow help you with this analysis as well. Please read them before you try to incorporate them for sure. But how can your readings support what you're doing? I want you to be able to use at least 3 of those readings that we've been doing in class. How can you find elements that help to support? Also consider, what about experiences? What about field trips we've done? What about some of our out and about things that we've done? Maybe the coffee shop inspired you. Maybe the stroll along the river at Veterans Memorial Park inspired you in some way. Maybe Cowtown inspired you. Maybe your own out and about project. Maybe your graffiti project, getting out in the city, is inspiring to you. Can you bring in experiences in your process paper showing how your goals address the identity of the city, how your venue addresses the identity of the city, how your goals help you to understand the creative spirit and its connection to this project? Your discussions. You've been having great discussions on Blackboard. Perhaps you draw inspiration from your colleagues and their perspectives. That too could be something good to use. So your process paper, before I finish up, just a reminder, what is your topic? How does it relate to the identity of the community that supports it? Where's the money coming from? What's your inspiration? How did you decide to do this? What are the 3 goals that you've decided to explore, and how are you finding connections? This is where the analysis part comes in. What inspirations from your readings can you take? What inspirations from your colleagues' discussions and presentations can you take and bring to bear in your presentation? You may have guessed that, yes, this is the final exam for this class. It is comprehensive. It's bringing everything in. You can't possibly do everything, but what kind of inspiration can you gain from what you've already done, what you've already read? Finally, on the 18th, right, you're going to turn this in, this process paper. We want 3 to 4 pages, somewhere in there, type double space. You're going to turn this in on October 8th. Write all this up, turn it in on October 8th. And then on, can you imagine, October 18th, 10 days later, you're going to present it to the class. So how will you do this? This is the final piece of your process paper. How will you do this? Will it be a PowerPoint presentation? Will it be a video? Will you incorporate poetry? Will you incorporate your own photography? Will you bring in, maybe you and your friends will get together and do a skit or a play? How will you present it to the class? Will it be visual? Will it be musical? Will it be poetry? If you want to do a paper where you just present your findings in a paper that you read to class, that's fine too. It will be an oral presentation of some sort, right? So your final element of your process paper is, how are you going to present this? Why are you going to do it in this form? If it's going to be a PowerPoint, why that? If it's going to be a video, why that? You know? So, at the risk of being redundant, let me just recap one more time. This process paper is due October 8th. You can get it in via email. That's fine. 3 to 4 pages, typed double-spaced, asking you to identify your final project. How does it connect to the identity of the city? What's your inspiration? What are your 3 goals? How are you achieving those goals? That's your analysis. Can you bring in course readings, course experiences? And then how will you present your final project to the class? The final project, this process paper, again, due October 8th. That's a Wednesday. The final project itself, October 18th. We will just take all class to present it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. Please email me, call me if you have any questions whatsoever about this final project. Thanks.